Hey, so we're going to take a quick look at Munker Solver to, yeah, compare flatting in a heads-up pot versus flatting multi-way. All right, so first we got an early position raiser, raising 2.3x. I chose this sim in particular because things get really wide when we're min raising. So this is the range that the small blind is supposed to call in a heads-up pot, and then there's a non-all-in and all-in range, which comprises about 8.5% of hands. This is the all-in range, so it's like nines and tens, ace queen, ace king. So that doesn't really matter though. Ace jack suited's not in the 3-bet range. So now, let's see what happens when the button also calls, the loosest player. Well, it looks like this. By the way, this is with 30 big blinds. It looks like we call a tighter range than before, and except for these pairs, the pairs seem to really like third in, and then we move a lot more hands to the shoving range. So ace jack suited goes into the shoving range, but not the calling range so much, multi-way. So that might have been a little bit confusing. Let's compare the total VPIP, heads up, 18%, with a button flatter, the loosest flatter there can be, our VPIP goes up or down a little bit to 15 from 18. Now what happens if it's a little bit less loose? I guess the cutoff calls. Notice how the value of these pairs and low suited hands goes up. Probably suited aces too, but still, in this case, we are preferring to go all in for 30 big blinds with ace jack suited. So I think that what we're seeing here is that with a tight raiser and a flatter, for 30 big blinds, ace jack suited usually in a heads up pot will call heads up, but multi-way or in this spot when there's so much in the middle, we're going to reshove. Let's just try to see this, compare this again. We got the hijack raising. Let's have the hijack this time. We'll see what the small blind's supposed to do. Right now, the calling range, 30 big blinds deep. Kind of big card heavy. Offsuit big cards, etc. What happens if the button calls? Our calling range changes a lot. No more big cards. Lots of twos through sixes. I think suited aces, etc. But like most of these hands prefer some other option. Total VPIP range looks like this. Yeah. Again, ace jack suited belongs in the all-in range. And it's not like we're trying to get called by worse, but we have enough equity, I suppose, versus the ranges to reshove. That being said, is a call bad? Absolutely not. I mean, if you can call ace six suited third in, you can definitely call ace jack suited. It's just hard to win that spot. So again, we'll compare versus the cutoff. We just do a lot of all-ins versus the cutoff, I guess. I'm going to do one other comparison, but I'm going to do 25 bigs because that's what you were. This time with min raises and show you how much it changes. Heads up versus a min raise, we call so much, but included ace jack suited versus under the gun. However, if let's say the cutoff calls, our calling range, again, we move ace jack suited to the reshove range, and we call less, I would say. Remember how much it was in the beginning. This is our calling range previously, so more hands. Although if you look, again, multi-way, these low suited connectors really go up in value, and same with low pairs. So the answer, you made an adjustment to call because the original razor was tight. It seems pretty conclusive here that in a heads up pot calling is fine, but once there's so much more money in the middle, I think we like to just ship it in for the most part. I don't mind your adjustments. Hopefully this gave you a little bit of insight into how you're supposed to play. It always changes. So let's say, under the gun plus under the gun calls. Yeah, this same weird phenomenon happens. So it's a tough thing to talk about too much. You just have to think about it in sort of a general way. But for sure, you are defending a tighter and slightly different looking range as the third person in.